With the 2025 schedule set and Grok laying out an ambitious 11-6 campaign built around Aaron Rodgers' last stand, it's worth unpacking the highs, lows, and underlying assumptions that fuel these game-by-game forecasts. Here's a deeper dive into what it would take for Pittsburgh to hit or miss this 11-win mark. Early momentum, weeks 1 to 4, 3-1 projected. Week 1 at Jets W. Rodgers versus Rodgers Redux, a revenge spot against his old team sounds poetic, but New York's defense could surprise. Still, familiar turf and a stout front seven give Pittsburgh a realistic edge. Week 2 versus Seahawks, home opener drama with DK Metcalf squared off against old friends. Seattle's offense remains a work in progress and Pittsburgh's rush lanes should dominate. Week 3 at Patriots L. Foxborough woes persist. Bill Belichick's successor and a disruptive home crowd make this a coin flip. Leaning loss feels defensible. Week 4 versus Vikings in Ireland. W. A neutral site levels the field. Rodney Harrison once joked international games favor big hit teams, and Pittsburgh belongs to that mold versus rookie J.J. McCarthy. Key takeaway. A 3-1 start hinges on Rodgers quickly building chemistry with receivers and the defense delivering trademark turnaround performances. Divisional gauntlet and primetime tests, weeks 6 to 9, 4 to 2 projected. Week 6 versus Browns. Cleveland's youth movement and camp battles invite a Pittsburgh romp, especially with home field. Week 7 at Bengals L. Joe Burrow in prime form often spells Q-Town heartbreak. Week 8 versus Packers U. Rodgers' insider knowledge of Green Bay's blitz packages is a tantalizing X factor in prime time. Week 9 versus Colts W. Revenge for 2 straight losses. A home date against Indy's shaky QB room gives Pittsburgh a fair shot. Key takeaway. Splitting with Cincinnati while securing home wins against division and conference foes would solidify Pittsburgh's playoff resume entering midseason. Cross-country challenges and bounce-backs, weeks 10 to 14, 1 to 3 projected. Week 10 at Chargers L. Facing Justin Herbert and Harbaugh's system on the road is a brutal test. Week 11 versus Bengals W. A home reversal is plausible if Rodgers maintains efficiency and defense adjusts to Burrow's checks. Week 12 at Bears. Soldier Field has been kind to Rodgers historically, and cold Chicago conditions magnify Pittsburgh's physical style. Week 13 versus Bills. Josh Allen at full tilt is a steep uphill. Week 14 at Ravens L. The AFC North's physical crown jewel, especially at home, has stung Pittsburgh recently. Key takeaway, a 2-3 heavy stretch here is realistic. It underscores the thin margin for error in the AFC, where cross-conference and divisional trips loom large. Closing stretch and playoff push, weeks 15 to 18, 2-2 projected. Week 15 versus Dolphins W. Miami's road inconsistencies and December doldrums give Pittsburgh the nod. Week 16 at Lions. Detroit's surge under Dan Campbell makes this a likely defeat. Week 17 at Browns. Completing the season sweep and keeping postseason hopes alive is a classic Tomlin-era script. Week 18 versus Ravens. With juiced home crowd energy and a potential Ravens roster resting starters, a late-season upset isn't far-fetched. Key takeaway. Splitting the final stretch, especially stealing 2 tough road wins against divisional foes, could tilt Pittsburgh into the postseason. Overarching themes and risks. 1. Rodgers' health and adaptation. At age 42, his mobility and ability to absorb hits in a physical AFC North will define every prediction. 2. Defensive consistency. TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and a retooled secondary must generate turnovers. Without splash plays, this record is wishful. 3. Divisional balance. 4 AFC North games account for nearly 25% of the schedule, and a 2-2 split there often makes or breaks playoff qualification. 4. Scheduling nuances. International games, primetime slots, and back-to-back road trips, West Coast swing in weeks 10 to 11, all factor into peaks and valleys. Final verdict. An 11-6 finish is an optimistic projection that relies on Rodgers recapturing MVP form, a defense that punishes mistakes, and just enough schedule luck in neutral site and late-season matchups. If any of those pillars wobble, Rodgers' arm wanes, the secondary backslides, or the AFC North proves tighter than expected, this bold AI forecast will quickly feel doom and gloom rather than gridiron prophecy. Regardless, it makes for an endlessly intriguing blueprint for what could be the most pivotal NFL season of Rodgers' career, and the Steelers under Tomlin. Here's a more fleshed out 2-minute read on Grok's 2025 Steelers forecast, cleaned up and expanded. Week 1 at Jets, September 7th, 1 p.m. ECBS. Win. The narrative is irresistible. Rodgers returns to MetLife, now in Steelers black and gold. New York's 2024 woes linger, and Pittsburgh's revamped defense, anchored by TJ Watt, should feast on a shaky Jets attack. Expect a tight opener, but the Steelers pull away late, 24-20. Week 2 versus Seahawks, September 14th, 1 p.m. ET. Seattle arrives with Sam Darnold under center and an offense still finding itself. Meanwhile, DK Metcalf lights up his former team in front of a frenzied home crowd. Pittsburgh's front seven smothers the run. Rodgers and company do just enough, 27-17. Week 3 at Patriots, September 20th, 1 p.m. ET, CBS. Foxborough is a graveyard for Steelers QBs. New coach Mike Vrabel's Patriots boast a young, hungry roster. The crowd noise and lane discipline give New England the edge in a defensive slugfest. Expect a 17-13 setback. Week 4 versus Vikings in Dublin, September 28th, 9:30 a.m. ET, NFL Network. Win. On a neutral field in Ireland, Pittsburgh's physical style dominates. Rookie J.J. McCarthy gets his baptism under fire, and the Steelers' veteran defense closes running lanes. Rodgers orchestrates just enough big plays in a 23-16 victory. Week 5, a welcome breather before the meat of the schedule. Week 6 versus Browns, October 12th, 1 p.m. ET, CBS. Win. Cleveland's rebuild continues. Pittsburgh avenges last season's loss with a dominant home performance. Watt and Minka force 2 turnovers. Rodgers connects deep with Warren and Metcalf in a 30-14 romp. Week 7 at Bengals, Oct 16, 8:15 p.m. ET, loss. Thursday night road trip to Cincy is unforgiving. Joe Burrow marches the Bengals downfield in the fourth quarter, and Pittsburgh's short week leaves Rodgers off rhythm. Final score, 31-27, Cincinnati. Week 8 versus Packers, October 26th, 8:20 p.m. ET, SNEF, win. Acrisure Stadium lives up to terrible towels billing. Rodgers, facing his old mates, reads coverages like a book and carves up Green Bay. A late Watt strip sack seals a 28-20 victory. Week 9 versus Colts, November 2nd, 1 p.m. ECBS, win. Indianapolis has had recent success in Pittsburgh, but this time the home team adjusts. Darius Slay locks down Indy's secondary, and Rodgers uncorks 2 fourth-quarter touchdown passes. Steelers prevail, 24-21. Week 10 at Chargers, November 9th, 8:20 p.m. ET, SNF, loss. Cross-country trip against Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh's balanced attack. Pittsburgh's secondary is tested, and an early turnover snowballs into a 34-24 loss. Week 11 versus Bengals, November 16th, 1 p.m. ET, revenge game at home. Adjustments slow Joe Burrow's rhythm, and Rodgers finds playmakers on short, quick throws. Defense adds 3 more takes, 20-17 Pittsburgh. Week 12 at Bears, on 23rd, 1 p.m. ET. Rodgers owns Soldier Field 24-5 lifetime. With Caleb Williams still settling in for Chicago, Pittsburgh's veteran signal caller rallies his team to a 27-13 road win. Week 13 versus Bills, November 30th, 1 p.m. ET, loss. Josh Allen and Buffalo's high-octane attack overwhelmed Pittsburgh's secondary. Even a late rally can't overcome turnovers. Final 31-24 Buffalo. Week 14 at Ravens, December 7th, 1 p.m. ET. Divisional tussle in Baltimore goes against the Steelers. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry impose their will, and Pittsburgh falls 28-17. Week 15 versus Dolphins, December 15th, 8:15 p.m. ET. MNF win Primetime at Acrisure in December favors the home side. Cold winds and a fierce rush game stifle Tua. Jalen Warren breaks free for 2 TDs in a 23-10 victory. Week 16 at Lions, December 21st, 1 p.m. ET, loss. Detroit, one of 2024's surprises, repeats its form in Motown. An efficient Lions attack and stout run defense hand Pittsburgh a 21-14 setback. Week 17 at Browns, December 28th, 1 p.m. ET. Win season sweep complete. Cleveland's once hopeful rebuild stalls, and Pittsburgh's defense dominates. Rodgers plays mistake-free ball in a 26-13 win. Week 18 versus Ravens, TBD. Win. If Baltimore is locked into postseason seeding, starters rest. Pittsburgh seizes the chance, closing the year with a 22-9 home win to finish 11-6, likely a wild card berth. Grok's crystal ball sees an 11-6 finish, enough to dance in January. But how far Rodgers' last ride goes will be the season's true story.